What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie that just came out, and very quietly, I might add, called The Price We Pay. And it's actually a movie directed by Ryûhei Kitamura? So for those of you who don't know who Ryûhei Kitamura is, he's the guy who did Versus, the famous Yakuza versus zombies in a forest, and the story goes bananas. I freaking love that movie. I've always been a fan of Ryûhei Kitamura since I saw that movie. Arrow just put out a new release of it not too long ago, but he also went on to do Azumi and many other really weird and fun movies, some that were Yakuza, some that weren't. He also went to do No One Lives and Downrange, and has done a couple of other things here, including The Midnight Meat Train, which is what they're using to promote this film, and I think it might be a little too much to use that one to promote it, but it is true, he did direct that film. If you recall, this was a Lionsgate film from back in the day that they were going to put out in theaters and then pulled from the theaters at the last minute, like the week before, and then put it out on a limited release, and everybody was really upset. I really did like that film. This is also a Lionsgate release, and it is written by Christopher Jolly, who is the writer for many different horror films, many that I have not seen. These are smaller, low-budget sort of horror films. He worked on Once Upon a Time at Christmas, which is a Paul Tanter movie. It's about a Santa Claus and a Mrs. Claus. It's kind of like Harley Quinn running around wreaking havoc on town. Well, Christopher Jolly's working on a new TV show called Age of the Living Dead, which I think is a vampire show, and he's writing for it. So what is it all about? Well, it is a movie about a couple of robbers, like three. They go to a pawn store and they try to rob it, and things go wrong. They have to take a hostage. They get on the road, the car breaks down, and they have to go to a farm where they have to wait it out and hopefully not get caught by the police. Well, when they get there, they meet a small boy who is really meek and quiet, and they kind of coerce him to let them stay there without knowing they're robbers. And they find out that there's a heck of a lot more going on this farm that is pretty disturbing. Now, if you saw the trailer, there's like some pretty cool stuff that they show in the trailer. I actually thought the trailer was pretty good. A buddy of mine sent it to me and said, hey, check this out. What do you think? There's no promotion on this. What the hell's going on? And there really isn't. And I think I know why. Because the price I paid for this, or the price we pay, might be a little too much.
Just look at the flowers.
Unfortunately, this is just not the movie for me. We got stars like Emil Hirsch, who did Autopsy of Jane Doe. We also have Stephen Dorff from Blade. They executive produced this. We also get another star who is the female final girl of the movie, and her name is Gigi Zimbato, and she has actually been in another movie called Run, Sweetheart, Run. We also get legendary Vernon Wells, who is from many different movies from the 80s, including Weird Science, Commando, and of course Mad Max 2. You know, this guy. Thanks, Vernon. Anyway, he's in it, and I gotta say, when I saw this movie and it kicked off, some of the acting was a little spotty. I don't know if it was down to the editing or maybe English translation or something like that, but it just kind of felt very flat acting, and that's what really kind of bothered me about this film. There is not too much better that happens as the movie progresses, although when it sort of kicks off at the farm and you find out sort of what's going on, it gets a little better. But Emil Hirsch kind of hams it up a little too much in this, and it just was very hard for me to believe. I don't think he's a bad actor. I just don't think these were his good takes. He plays sort of this psycho kind of crazy guy in it. Maybe that's just me. Stephen Dorff is doing Stephen Dorff, and, you know, Gigi Zimbato, she was kind of okay. She didn't really stand out amongst the group. And Vernon Wells, of course, does a pretty decent job in it actually his monologue was pretty decent. It wasn't anything to write home about. To be honest, the only thing that was really good in this film to me was a couple of gore moments, which, you know, Ryûhei Kitamura always throws in his films, and thank you, Ryûhei. We appreciate that a lot. But yeah, it just falls flat. The story is not that interesting. They really don't delve into it except for that monologue piece that I'm talking about. And it really just kind of ends up being an average film, maybe below if it weren't for the gore. You know, some of the gore is actually a little bit above average in the Indiescape that they're doing. I don't know how much money this movie was made on, but it doesn't feel like a lot, and it doesn't feel well rehearsed. It feels kind of, I don't know. Downrange had some of that acting problem too, so I was kind of thinking that that was going to happen. No One Lives was a little bit better, and Midnight Meat Train was leaps better acting-wise over those movies. So, I don't know. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately. I still respect and love Ryûhei Kitamura, and, you know, I still like some of the performers in here for what they've done in the past. But it just ultimately did not fulfill everything that I was kind of hoping for from the trailer. There was also in the trailer like this shock baton that looks like something out of Star, you know. I was like, oh, what is that? This is kind of crazy. And this like tall, like preacher-esque looking, Leatherface looking kind of person. And I thought, this might be cool, but it really wasn't all that good. And it just doesn't do anything to stand out. Now, I saw some shots that Ryûhei Kitamura was doing. There was like a scene that he did where he like runs the camera through water as someone's washing their hands. So, you know, he's still trying to experiment with some of the shots and things, but it just didn't really make a difference on the overall film. And I'm not sure if that's just specifically because of the writing, the performances, or the story. It just kind of all falls apart. I just don't think it's a high renter for me, and I was really disappointed with it. So I would probably have to give this one, I hate doing this, because I love Ryûhei Kitamura, but I have to give this like a 4.5, maybe a 5, and I think that's being nice. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed with this one, especially since they're promoting it with Midnight Meat Train. The expectations are going to be much higher with that film than what you're going to get with this film. But I think he's still got what it takes to make a better film. This might just not have had enough money to really push the boundaries. The gore was okay, so I guess it's not all bad. But yeah, it was just hard to get through the beginning of it. And by the time we got to the good stuff, it just wasn't enough to kind of push it over to make it win. Unfortunately, can't win them all. I hope we find better movies from Ryûhei Kitamura in the future. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Did you see the trailer? Did you even know about this movie? Are you a fan of Ryûhei Kitamura like me? Please let me know what your favorite Ryûhei Kitamura film is in the comment section down below. But other than that, thank you so much for stopping by, guys. Appreciate your support, and let's kick this New Year's ass. But other than that, thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void. Join us beyond the void. Join us beyond